Spock, I knew him well. No. The Enterprise is diverted to a planet to check on somebody who might be a mass murderer. Conscience of the King, next.
Hi everybody, I'm Chip Cosell.
John Whitney.
And welcome. This is Edith Keeler's Edge of Forever Bar and Grill. We got a really great episode today. So welcome aboard, join us.
Yeah.
The bar is open.
Yeah.
John, so what do you think? What's on your mind?
I don't know what's on my mind. We just got done watching this
Yeah.
again. This is the third time I've seen it in 3 days. It's Conscience of the King.
Conscience
is
of the
is the name of the episode that we're talking about. But first, I want to make sure that everybody please subscribe. If you like what you see, subscribe. Hit that bell so you can get notifications of whatever we can upload. Please pass this on to your friends if you
share
like
the
it.
love, man.
Yeah, share the love. We're trying to build that audience as best we can. But so that's it. And remember, we are fans, not experts, so we may kind of bounce around, screw things up, and especially with this one because I haven't really seen it that much, and you told me why. Because why? Because
when it first came out, it was the most poorly rated episode in the entire series.
Yeah.
So it was so bad when it first came out that they didn't put it into a rotation, a second rotation when it aired.
And on viewing, you know why. It's just so much Shakespeare. Anyway, we can get into that first, but after I tell you what our bottle is. It's a very special bottle.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yes.
I can't wait to learn.
I bring you Elmer T. Lee.
Whoa.
It's my favorite. It is my favorite whiskey, Buffalo Trace product. Very
Buffalo
hard
Trace,
to get.
yes.
And today, with the help of my wife, I was able to pick up a bottle, and we are going to drink this while we talk about Conscience of the King.
This is soon to be my favorite, I think, because I love...
Yes.
The other, what's the based on?
Based on what?
What's the
Elmer T. Lee?
Yeah, it is
Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo
product?
Trace. I love Buffalo Trace.
Yes,
so
good stuff.
the Elmer T. Lee is probably quickly going to be my best friend.
Oh yeah. Oh fucking yes, that is good stuff.
Oh man, what proof is that today, John?
It's only 90.
It's very drinkable.
Yes, drinkable. Okay.
Nice. All right.
Conscience of the King. It starts out.
They start off with a close-up of a dagger in somebody's hand with really dramatic music, and it's a Shakespearean guy stabbing this other dude.
Yeah. So we're at a Shakespeare play, and I think
it turns out that
Hamlet,
you discover
right?
it's Hamlet. Yeah,
Hamlet.
He pulls out and he has blood all over his hands, and he's acting. The blood is everywhere, and then the music for the show stops, and then there's Shakespearean time flute music in the background starts playing. I'm like, why? Yeah. What is that's?
I don't know.
What was the deal with that? Like, why are they? In the world of the play, why would you even have music like that during a scene of murder?
I don't know. It's very strange.
It is really weird.
But we go to the audience, and Kirk is sitting with a friend of his, Tom. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah,
He's
Tom Holland.
Yes.
Who eventually went on to play Spider-Man.
Okay.
We're not experts.
So that's right. Kirk is saying something weird, check him out or something like that. He's going, watch Hamlet.
Yeah, we only see him in profile right now.
Yeah.
We all know why, but we don't right now if you're watching it for the first time.
That's right. That's right.
He's shot in profile. And he's talking to him I know that voice.
Yeah, he's like, that man on stage. That's Kotos, the
executioner.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Kotos, the executioner. And then there's dramatic music, and it cuts to the titles.
Yes, down to the title sequence. Very short opening scene, maybe a minute.
Yeah,
maybe a minute. Very short. Yeah. So we come back from the open, and we're in orbit.
No, we're at Tom's house.
Oh, sorry. What the fuck?
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
See, I see it. That's why.
That's right. We're at Tom's house.
Yes, and Kirk is kind of frustrated.
They're going back and forth because he's like, hey, you're supposed to have this incredible new food supply that you developed. You got me over here on false pretenses. What the hell, man? You're going to get me in trouble. You're in trouble. How am I going to put this in my log? Kirk is kind of, it's almost a friendly kind of thing. Okay, I get it. we'll figure it out, I guess. And he's like, he's going to leave or whatever. He's like, no, it's definitely Kotos. And he's like, well, there was never a positive ID, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, his body was burned.
He's dead. Kotos is dead, Kirk says.
Yeah, he's like, I can't believe you brought me to this planet to look at an actor you may think is Kotos. What the hell are you talking about? He's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So he basically says, his friend says, listen, Kirk, well, nothing to do with it. And his friend says, well, I'm going to have all kinds of ghosts hanging out in my apartment tonight because we invite them all over for cocktails.
Yeah.
And so you got a chance to maybe check them out.
And up close and in person.
Yeah, and Kirk's like, I'm going back to the ship. And he goes back to the ship.
Yeah, he goes back to, I got to figure out how I'm going to log this, man.
Yeah.
How am I going to put this in my log? Shit.
Yeah. So we cut to, he is in his office or some kind of a briefing room, and he's kind of going over, he's asking the computer about the actor and also Kotos. Kotos?
Yeah.
Kotos.
Yeah, he's asking the computer about, Kotos and Caridian, I guess is his name, the actor's name.
Yeah, and he asked about the actor, about, how far, give me some records on him. And they said, well, he only has records for the past 20 years. Isn't that where he was at the first time? Yeah. So then it kind of like he's perked up a little bit. And then he wants to see the pictures side by side.
Right. And and this is like the precursor to AI and, like Siri, because he's talking to the computer like we talk to Siri nowadays.
Just to go back just for a second, in the scene before that when he's talking to his buddy Tom, they talked about there's only like 8 or 9 people that actually saw Kotos. We need to tell you that right now because it comes up later.
Yeah, and Kirk and him and 7 others are the only ones that actually have seen Kotos. Yeah, actually the only ones that can witnessed him.
All right, so he's looking at him side by side, and Spock comes in, and he like turns off the screen as if like, what are you doing, Scott? Hey. Hey, Spock, what's up?
Yeah, Spock's like, oh, of course, Captain.
Yeah, we're ready
looking
to leave.
at porn again.
That's right. Well, we're ready to leave orbit. And he's like, what does he say? He's like,
oh, we're not going to leave just yet. I'm going to go back down to the planet's surface.
Yeah,
he wants to go to that party. He wants to go to that cocktail
basically.
Party. His interest is perked.
Yes. So
this supposed Kodos.
And now we go down to the party.
Yeah.
And Kirk is like a very loungy version of the theme of Star Trek.
Yeah. It's playing lightly in the background, a jazzy, slow jazz.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
It's very, very jazzy. And so he's walking around with a drink.
Yeah. And he says hi to his Tom's wife, and Tom's wife is like, oh, he went to town.
He went to the store or whatever. He just called. He'll be here soon.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how the transporter in this universe, they don't use the transporter for personal reasons like transporting over to town. That's only strictly used for like getting off world, I think. They're not abusing the transporter in this universe. They may use it every once in a while like that, but they're not abusing it. Tom went to town. He walked to town. He's going to get something and come back. And that actress, interesting enough, is actually married to that actor who plays her husband. They are actually married in real life when they were shooting this.
Very good. Yeah. So Kirk accepts her saying that he called, he'll be here soon. And then all of a sudden, who walks to the door?
The 19-year-old Lenore.
Lenore, yes.
Yes.
And they lock eyes. And Kirk puts on the charm. He's like,
oh, yeah.
I call him, he's in Captain Smooth mode right now.
Oh, yeah, he sure does.
Yeah.
She's played by 21-year-old Barbara Anderson.
Ah.
Yeah, so she was 21, so it's not that bad. But she's playing a 19-year-old, so.
I don't know why they didn't call her 21 or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, it's the 60s.
But still,
I don't.
She's young. He's 33. He's in his 30s at the time of shooting this. Yeah.
So it's only like anyway,
it's like 10 years, no big deal.
Whatever.
Anyway, he's hot for her in essence.
He
moves right in.
He just puts on the charm, man.
Yeah.
She's like,
"Is that for me?" And he goes, "Why not?"
Why not? Exactly.
Yeah. It's like he's just so smooth.
Oh, sure. You just walked through the door, never seen me before. I got you a drink right before you walked in.
Yeah,
I knew you were coming.
Yeah. And he grabs another drink later.
Yeah. Well, they go over to sit down on the couch because that's where he makes his moves, on the couch.
Exactly.
And somebody walked by, he grabs his drink, without them stopping. Mm-hmm. Very smooth.
Very smooth.
And
he says, Lady Macbeth, I'm very impressed. And she's like, well, how about Lenore Kardashian? Whatever her name is.
Very impressive, too.
Yes, very impressive.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's like, so he's like trying to get information out of her smoothly. He's like, so when was the first time you saw your father perform? Why isn't he here? That kind of thing. And she's like, oh, he never comes to these functions. It's a very private man.
Very private man.
So he was hoping to run into him.
He says, "I'd like to see you again."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, I've got to go to a planet. We're leaving actually. It's right after tomorrow after the show. So I don't know when we do that." And he's like, "Well, what about now?"
Yeah, what about right now, this very minute?
Yeah,
oh,
right.
Captain, really? It'd be so rude to leave early, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, he's like, "I'll say goodbye to our hosts." And he walks off, and she just looks at him like going, interesting.
Yeah, and so they go for a walk, like a proverbial walk in the woods kind of thing, but it's a walk on an alien planet where they have like these weird straw plants.
Inside a Desilu studio, or no, Paramount studio, where
Paramount
they're shooting.
Yeah. So they're walking, and she's like, "Oh, you're so different, and yet, gosh, so brash, but here you're almost vulnerable." And, she's digging him. He goes in to kiss her.
But, and they're about to kiss, and... surprise, there's a body on the ground.
Yeah, Kirk sees the body.
Yeah.
It's Tom.
Tom, yeah.
Damn. And I don't know what happened. Why didn't they corner it off to do forensic? In the 60s, they might not have forensic science yet, but, they did. He takes the body back. They didn't get to kiss, but he goes back to the house.
Yeah, they're like covering his body up on the couch.
Yeah.
And my thinking is, okay, they had just left the party to take a walk, and maybe 10 minutes have gone by, who knows?
Yeah.
And so they take him back at the party. So there's a missing scene where basically they bust in with a dead body, and the party is just completely like going, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
and they all just scattered.
It's like, okay, good night.
Gotta go. So they're talking about what are they talking about when they're talking about who would want to kill him?
Yeah, she's like, I don't. So she goes, well, who would want to kill him if he wasn't right about his suspicions about Caridian being a murderer? And she's like, I'm going to be so lonely, and she hugs Jim, and then she quickly exits the scene. He calls up to the Enterprise and says, "Hey, patch me through to the Astral Queen. I need to talk to Captain John, blah, blah, blah." And
the guy answers, he's like, "Hey, Tom, or John, this is Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise." And the guy's like going, "Hey, Jim, what's going on?"
Yeah, it's like they're old buddies.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. And when he asked him not to...
"Hey, I need a favor." He goes, "Hey,
yeah,
anything for you, man. I owe you like 100.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah, remember that time you pulled me out of that Cardassian, whatever, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
That brothel on Adius 4, it's like that kind of banter. And he's don't pick up your cargo, your people. I'll take them, don't worry, and keep it between us. So he's like basically using his power to usurp and get the acting company.
So he says, okay, he's going to pick him up. He's going to take care of getting him where they need to go.
Yeah.
And he calls Uhura.
Yeah. He says, he calls Uhura and says, beam me aboard, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So we're on the bridge, right?
Yeah.
And Kirk, he says, okay, we're ready to leave orbit.
Spock says we're ready to go.
Yeah, and he says, hold on for a second. And then Uhura gets a message that the daughter, Lenore, has been beamed up to the ship and would like to talk to you.
Yeah.
And of course Spock is like going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, Spock's like, how did you know that lady was going to be on board?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, So she comes up. Yeah. She basically
she has a conversation with him, trying to get him to hey, can you take care of us? We're stranded.
Yeah, well, guess what? Our ride just dumped us.
Yeah, and he goes, what can we? It's very strict regulations, my friend Lenore. And
she goes, I have an idea.
Yeah,
maybe we can make a deal. And he's like going, I'm listening.
Yeah. And it's all this innuendo. Maybe I'm reading more into it.
No, it's all innuendo.
The whole episode is innuendo.
Oh my
right?
God! You kidding?
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's worse.
Yeah, so he's like, I wouldn't want to deprive the crew of your performance,
and your beauty. But he doesn't say beauty. Your presence.
Yeah, your presence.
Yeah.
And so she says, they'll put on a play basically for her. Like, to me, that doesn't seem like much of a bargain, because this is before the holodeck was invented. So I guess they really do. They're starved for entertainment.
They need entertainment.
If they're going to watch a Shakespearean play like Hamlet,
why not?
Good Lord! Oh my goodness. Well, at least we know Hamlet's around still at 400 years in the future.
Yeah, but acted very poorly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and by the way, she's wearing this mink miniskirt dress thing.
Don't know what that is.
It's so weird. I did read that she has the record for the most costume changes in any episode of Star Trek. She has 6 costume changes.
Quite a bit.
Ricardo Montalban in Space Seed only had 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay, so she leaves after he says, "I'll take you," and Spock is like, he's asking where he goes, "We're going to have to go to this other planet,"
Yes.
and he goes, "That's 8 light years away from where we're going."
Yeah,
And that's when Kirk like snaps.
And he goes, "Yeah, if I need reminding, Mr. Spock, I'll ask for it," or something like that. And just follow my orders. You know, it's like very dismissive of Spock.
And Spock is like, "Huh." So Kirk kind of goes over to where Spock usually sits and asks the computer about, "Do you have anything about the entry the personal entry that I made?" So basically,
the library computer. Yeah.
About the computer, and he wants to look into the surviving members. So who are the people that were surviving? And he names off his friend
Tom,
and 2 other people, a couple other people, and then himself and Lieutenant
Riley.
Riley.
Yeah. But that's his last name. What's his first name?
Kevin?
Kevin Riley? Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Riley.
Yeah. So he's like, go back. Is that Kevin Riley? And the computer's like, yes, currently on Enterprise.
Communications or whatever. And he said, then basically he right away said he's going to transfer him down to engineering. Yeah. And Spock is like going, but
he just came up from engineering. He's going to think it's disciplinary.
He would look at that like it was some kind of punishment for something. And he should have said, wow, we never punished him for getting drunk and almost spinning us into a planet back in naked time. So he's like going, listen, I can do whatever I want. It happens all the time. And then basically Spock can't say anything because he's the captain.
Okay. Yeah. So the tension between Spock and Kirk is growing. You know?
Yeah. So now we're in sickbay.
Yes.
And McCoy and Spock are talking about what is going on because Spock is trying to figure this out. He doesn't quite understand what's happening. And so, but all McCoy wants to do is drink.
Yeah, McCoy's that's a bottle of Sorium brandy. You know, that one, that strange looking weird bottle. This is its first appearance in the show, by the way.
And he says something like, well, it's not every day that I get, it's been a while since what did he say? What was the word he used?
He goes, it's been a while since I had a drop of the true.
The true.
Yeah, I've never heard drinking called that.
Is that what he said? Yeah. So if he didn't say the true, put it down in the comments. We don't know if that's maybe it is. He didn't say the true.
But that Sirium brandy, here's an interesting fact. Mm-hmm. The Sirium brandy container, this is the first time it makes its appearance in the Star Trek lore. Mm-hmm. And of course, Bones is drinking during hours. It's so crazy. It's actually, the distinctive shape bottle was actually a modified George Dickel 1964 commemorative edition powder horn whiskey bottle. So there you go.
Oh, wait a minute. So it was shaped like that anyway?
Yeah. I thought all these years, a glass blower just bent a bottle.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I thought all these years, but it was actually so. Yep. So there's this, because he's drinking. He's like, come on, drink a little with me. Come on, buddy. And he's like, they're having the back and forth. He's like, no, we've got to figure out what's going on. And
these are my people, actually my father's people, or, alcohol doesn't bother us or something like that.
Yeah. And he's like, no wonder you're conquered. It's this throwaway line, It's like, no wonder
I never knew the Vulcans were conquered.
I didn't know that either. Weird. Huh?
But anyway, so there must be something they tried to plant but never got to.
It never went that far, I guess, right?
So Spock, how's the conversation end? He's like, he's basically thinks something's up. The captain is like, he put Riley down in engineering. It's very strange what's going on. I got to figure this out.
Yeah. And McCoy's like, well, if you won't join me, don't disapprove of me.
Yeah.
Until you try it.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, so then it cuts to the observation deck.
Yeah.
There's a hard cut to the observation deck. And this is the first time we see the observation deck, one of only 2 times in the whole series that you see the observation deck. They walk in, and it's dark and romantic. And
she's like, Captain, does this always, the lighting looks so beautiful. Does it always look like this? Is it because I'm here with you? And he says something about...
Yeah, he goes, well... If I had planned that, I also would have had music and flowers and all this other romantic stuff. But he mentions that the ship tries to recreate a day and night for the crew to keep them on track.
Yeah, and she does this thing where she looks out at the windows and she goes, starlight, starbright, whatever, I wish upon a star tonight. And then she like, starts going into her acting bit.
Yeah. And Kirk's like, and she goes, do you know that, Captain? And he's like, yes, it's very old.
Very old, I've heard of it.
Yes.
And then she turns to talk, and then for the first time, I really notice in the scene that a lot of her face is in shadow.
Yeah.
And I was like going, I wonder why they lit it like this. Maybe because they're trying to make her kind of feel like mystery or mysterious. But no, you told me, what? Why do they have shadow on her face?
During production, the actress developed a horrible cold sore that got worse as production went on. So it's not funny, but it is funny.
Yeah, but once you know that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it. So there's always a shadow of her nose over the cold sore. So you'll see that. And in other shots, it's not there because, maybe early in the schedule.
Yeah.
But she slowly develops it, and it's really prominent in the climax of the thing. But yeah, Kirk has to kiss her, too, during this. Well, it's clearly she has a cold sore, so I wonder if he got herpes. And
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, so the scene's like...
We should ask him.
This is another innuendo scene where she's like, oh, the throbbing of the...
Throbbing and surging. Are you like that, Captain?
Yes. Exactly.
And he gives him, that's a hoe line. He's such a hoe, man. And my note is that he gives her a look, well, I'm no Ron Jeremy, but, I can deal.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole...
I'm no Ron Jeremy, but I can deal.
She's like, tell me about the women.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still trying to get information out of her. And he's like, well, when was the first time, tell me about, your father's work and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, tell me about your women. And are they human or are they part of the mechanical society? So Kirk, not knowing what to say, he says, worlds may change, galaxies disintegrate, but a woman always remains a woman. And then she goes, oh, that's power and a poet too.
Yeah,
and they go in and they kiss.
So
passionately.
It brings up,
did they bang?
Mm-hmm. Did they bang?
Oh, yes, they did.
I think they did.
Not only that, right there, like this is it. This is his spot. Because the only other time they use that set is in the Mark of Gideon when he's with that other girl. He's like, brings her there.
Yeah.
Brings up the women. I bet he brings the women there to impress them. That's his thing. That's his move. That's his jam.
That's true. It's like, got the shuttlecraft down here, and we got the shuttlecraft. There are shuttlecrafts, I guess.
Yeah, that's the first time a shuttlecraft is mentioned in the series too. He should have said, that's a shuttlecraft. We could have used that to help Sulu off that planet when he was freezing to death. But he doesn't. He doesn't say that.
No. Okay, so now we're on the bridge, and Spock is asking about...
Is accessing the library computer.
Yeah.
And he's doing the same thing, correlate any kind of thing they have in common, all five of these people.
He doesn't get the answer right away, right? He just switches it off, and he starts thinking to himself.
Yeah.
And then we're in the hallway, right? Because we're assuming that the computer came back with the answer, and he's talking to McCoy about what he's learned.
That's right, yeah. McCoy, it's a great walk and talk scene.
Yeah.
I love their banter.
Yeah, he's talking about how basically the history of the event.
Yeah, so it's a lot of backstory. We're getting a lot of supposition, which is cool. Bones is like, I don't know if he says this, like they died quick, and maybe Spock says they died quick, but they died. They were murdered.
Right.
Yeah, because they phasered them and disintegrated them.
So now we're in engineering.
Really dark.
Yeah,
think
really
about
dark.
it. Yeah.
Now we're engineering, and Riley is down there, and he's bummed out because he's all by himself.
And it's nighttime because everything's dark.
Yeah. So he calls into the lounge or the cantina or where something.
Yeah, the rec room.
And he's like going, guys, I'm really lonely down here. And then Uhura, are you singing? Can you sing me a song so I don't feel so lonely? And
yeah. And then Ricky Gervais.
I don't know.
Ricky Nelson. Ricky Nelson is the guy on the that they hired to be Ricky Nelson for a day. It's like, hey, he wants a song. It's like, hey, he's down there pretty lonely. Yeah. So she starts playing with Spock's harp and sings her this really long and boring Lawrence Welky type song, which is really and so he's down there listening to it, and
this shadowy figure starts creeping up on him.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is or who it is.
Yeah.
And he turns his back. And there's this like milk, a glass of milk.
Yeah.
Would you say like it's only the second time that you've seen a glass?
Yeah, well, no, it's the only time that a glass was used for a non-alcoholic beverage in the series in its entirety. The only time a glass was the director wanted it to fall and shatter.
Yeah.
But it's the only time you see a glass used for non-alcoholic. And he's drinking milk for some reason.
So he turns his back.
And they could have at least said it's soy milk or something, or oat milk. But
something.
He turns his back and...
This hand comes in with this giant bottle, which I call an art department fail. It's like, what is this thing that they basically got off the shelf somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I forgot the bottle. Just use that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just no attempt to make it look futuristic. It's on the shelf of every grandmother's underneath the kitchen
I think
sink.
I have one downstairs.
Yeah, I've got one at home. I know for sure, even to this day.
Yeah.
Who knew that design would last 400 years into the future?
It's crazy.
I know. Let me just have another splash of that whiskey.
Plastics are still being produced.
Yeah. Hopefully they are synthetic plastics
that went down fast,
that are being... that's good. I'll take my time with this one. It wasn't that fast.
It's very good, though.
It is so good.
All right, so
so
she's singing, and
point, he gets it in there.
She's singing. They're going back and forth. He starts to reach for the milk. They do a false. He does a false drink, and he stops and like looks around a little bit, listens, and all of a sudden he takes the drink and he chugs it.
Yeah, and then back to Uhura singing, and her singing is really good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's just the song stinks.
The content and the execution is
Horrible
very Lawrence
song.
Welky.
Yes.
I'm verging on boring.
Yeah.
It's a really boring song about Antares. Something weird about Antares.
Yeah.
I bet Gene Roddenberry wrote that song too.
Probably.
I'll bet you. I don't have any proof of that. Did Gene Roddenberry write Antares?
Yeah.
So
she's done singing.
Yeah.
And she's like going, "How'd you like that, Riley?" And all of a sudden he's like cut to him. He's like,
close up of like,
"Help me, please."
Yeah.
And he falls to the ground. The glass shatters.
And she goes, "God, it wasn't that bad, was it?"
Yeah. And now exactly. And now we're in sick bay, and he's sitting there.
He's near death. Near death. Riley near death.
Yes.
There was a break, a commercial break. It comes back into sick bay.
And Spock is like, he must survive.
Yeah, Spock's like, Bones has identified the poison as tetralubosol.
Yeah, something.
Some kind of lubricant used on the ship that is very common and milky in substance. And somebody could have made a mistake and accidentally.
He's like, come on, somebody tried to murder him.
Yeah,
Are you
Spock's
kidding?
like, Spock's all like that.
Yeah, and he's like, you've got to show your findings to the captain right now. He's like, well, I'm still doing the part.
I gotta log it.
Yeah, I gotta log it now. Blah, blah, blah. He goes, no, now let's go. So they go to the captain's quarters.
Yeah, we cut to the captain's quarters. Very hard cuts in this episode.
Yeah,
not a lot of really crazy transitions.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Here's my report about Lieutenant Riley." And
and Spock is like going, I think it was an attempted murder.
Yeah.
And
Bones is like, no, those not conclusive.
And what does he say? He says what?
Oh, I thought it was interesting because I just like the way he phrased this. He says, you should be told the difference between empiricism and stubbornness, Doctor.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting because I never heard that word empiricism before, so I had to look it up.
And then Spock kind of lets it out of the bag that he knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And that he was a witness to this, and Kirk is taking offense to this because he thinks it's a personal thing.
Yeah, he thinks it's like his own personal business he's got to take care of.
Yeah, take care of it.
So they're all three are arguing.
Yeah, McCoy's like, he's doing his job. You know this, right? Yeah, so he settles down a little bit.
Yeah, and Spock is all like, he is Kotos, and Kirk is like, I gotta be sure.
Yeah, and then he's like, and what if he is? This is McCoy. What if he is? What are you gonna do? Walk around the corridors with his head in celebration?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, head on a pike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jim is like, Kirk is like, no, they may rest easier.
Okay.
Then there's a transition of the ship flying through space and it cuts back to Kirk's quarters, and and Bones is gone, and they're arguing still. Kirk and Spock are arguing.
Well, Spock is really starting to get to where he's kind of convincing Kirk that this may be possible, that this could be the guy.
That he could be the next victim too. Even he's worried about Kirk being the next victim.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they hear this like noise and
with his Spock ears, it's like, wait, do you hear that?
He's like, shh. He's like, a phaser on overload.
Yeah, and so now they're tearing up the place looking for a phaser on overload.
And I don't know, Spock, he's got some good hearing, right?
Yeah.
At least that's what McCoy always jokes about.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be able to hone in exactly where it is, but I guess not.
Exactly, because he has two of those pointed ears, man.
Yeah. So Kirk says, just get out of here. Try to clear the hallway because this thing explodes. It's going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, it's going to take out half a deck and all this other stuff. Spock goes into Jim's drawers and he's pulling out all of his clothes in every one of his drawers. I'm like thinking, God, that's kind of an invasion of privacy, man.
Yeah.
But it's all like uniform type clothes. It's not anything really like...
He could have found a secret stash.
Off duty. If I was Kirk, I'd be like, hey, not the bottom drawer. I know for sure it's not there. No, stay out of that bottom drawer. And so Spock goes outside. He's like calming everybody down, getting them to evacuate.
And he finally sees it up in the window.
Yeah,
and
he sees it in the red alert thing. He pulls it out. He can't turn it off.
So he runs out in the hallway and puts it in that thing that says,
it's like a little laundry chute. It's a...
it says like something pressurized.
It says pressure vent disposal.
So
pressure vent disposal, whatever that is.
So is it the thing? He just shoves it in there. What does it fly out into outside the ship?
No, we don't know. But they do get knocked to the side of the hull because of the force of the explosion. If they only during the remastering showed an exterior shot of what happened, that would have been cool.
Yeah, if it exploded away from them, that's fine.
You could have done that. You've done stuff like that before, remaster people.
Yes.
Come on.
Anyway.
Get better. So finally, he gets to confront Kodos. He goes to Kodos' room.
And he busts in. He's like, I want to ask you something. He's like, I thought maybe, my privacy would be important here, Captain, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he basically confronts him. He says, are you Kodos?
Yeah, it goes right to the point.
The executioner? And he has his face like his eyes go up. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and he's like, in all true Shakespearean actor fashion, he's like, I am Kodos, if it pleases you. And I am Kodos.
Yeah.
It's all like Shakespearean with that deep voice.
That whole scene was very Shakespearean. I mean, it was almost like a soap opera, too, where, he'd ask him a question, and the guy playing Kodos would turn to the camera and take a few steps forward and start going into a soliloquy.
Into the distance.
Yeah.
Like a soliloquy.
Yeah, soliloquy. Yeah, you have another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soliloquy.
Yeah. And so toward the end, it was just like he has a plan. He wants him to read something, which they have a recording of from the colony.
Yeah, to do a voice print match, because apparently DNA is not a thing in the future.
It's not. I
guess, or the body was so badly burned that it destroyed all possible
well,
DNA. I don't know.
I don't think they even knew what DNA was back in the 60s.
I don't think they sequenced it until 1977.
Something
they didn't
like
sequence
that.
DNA.
Yeah, so they had no idea.
Yeah, so the writers certainly didn't know anything about DNA, that's for sure. And they were pretty lazy not doing any research.
Yeah.
They could have called MIT and said, hey, can you identify a charred remains?
Can you make some dinosaur DNA?
Yeah.
Anyway. So he makes them read this thing, which is basically, I guess, something he said to the colonists about...
Yeah, it's a speech.
Yeah, that he did something about, something.
Yeah, it says, like, you have been chosen because half of you must live, so that you must die so others may live.
And he puts the card down and he goes off book.
Yeah, he goes off book and just starts singing. And Kodos, signed Kodos, governor of Tartus 4.
Yeah, and Kirk sees him off book, and he just kind of perks up and goes, I noticed that you weren't reading that, so either you must, that you are Kodos, you said this.
Yeah. And he goes, I learned my parts well.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't even read it at first. He just started reading it. He didn't proofread it.
No.
He doesn't know it. He's Kodos.
He's Kodos.
Damn it.
He's him. And then you have this whole thing
You'd think that would convince Kirk, and he'd go for his throat right then and there.
Right. And especially when they start going into detail of what happened on that place. He's like, those 2,000 people or 4,000 people, died for a cause or whatever.
Yeah, he said if the supply ships hadn't arrived, were late, this Kodos person would have been a hero.
Right, so he's definitely Kodos.
He's Kodos, man.
Yeah, for sure. He says, you just be careful because you may not leave this room alive.
Right.
And he starts to walk out, and his daughter shows up.
Yeah, his daughter pops out.
Yeah.
She's pissed.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And she's like, did you use me as a tool?
Yeah.
Am I a tool for you? You were just using me to get to my father. Or something like that. And what does he say? He says, not at first.
Well, he's like, not at first, but, not at first, at first, that's how it was. I was using you as a tool, but then it became more.
Right.
on that observation deck when they banged, for instance.
Yes.
Like he had to justify the banging, I think.
Maybe.
Because they definitely did it.
Yes.
So he's kind of felt bad. I think here you can kind of see he feels bad that.
Yes. So now we go into the sick bay, and McCoy is doing his log.
Oh yeah, he's
Really loud.
Yeah, he's like, Captain Kirk suspects Kotos is actually that the Caridian is actually Kotos the executioner who murdered Riley's entire family, and Riley's looking. He's like, what? And he like.
Yeah, and he like
McCoy starts to turn, and Riley
darts back in.
Darts back in.
So now we're in the theater.
Yes, the stage.
Yes,
the play.
and
Lenore introduces the play.
That's right. She's like, "It's a very violent play.
Yeah,
It was a dark time, and different things were very violent, or something."
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
And it's part of the theater in space program. To bring theater to space.
And there's like 20 people in the theater.
Yeah.
Just
There's people watching it on a monitor.
Yeah, so it's being piped all around the ship. And
there was even a scene shot where the people on the bridge were watching it on the screen, but they cut that out. I read that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the play is happening.
Yeah.
And McCoy goes, I'm a typical doctor where I'm never on time to a performance.
Yeah, always missing the first part of a play.
Riley, you stay. And then he's like, looks and he's like, Riley's gone, and talks to Kirk and says, Riley is not in the sick bay.
Yeah.
I think we need to. And then Kirk says,
I think he overheard my log.
Yeah,
I keep telling my log so loudly.
Right. I keep forgetting.
I keep forgetting to just be quiet when I give my log entries.
Yeah.
Or at least go into another room.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kirk's like, fuck. He gets an alert from security. The phasers has been broken into. There's a missing phaser.
Yeah, he's like, be on the lookout for Riley and try to, he might be going toward the theater.
Yeah, so Kirk goes down to the theaters. He's backstage walking around looking for him.
And the theaters, the
Kotos
is
going
up there
on.
doing his thing with his play and the mask in front of his face, And he's lurking around, and all of a sudden we see Riley come out of the shadows with a phaser.
Yep, that's right. And then he confronts Riley about the phaser. Don't do it. You ruin your life, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's like, gotta do it. He killed my family. That's that voice.
I think here is Kirk de-escalates the situation really quick. I think here's a missed opportunity from a writing point of view to create some tension, because of confronting Kodos. There's an opportunity there for Kirk, Riley, and Kodos to have a confrontation, but they miss it. He just goes away, goes back to sickbay, gives Kirk the weapon.
He never gets in trouble.
Yeah,
Riley never gets in trouble.
He almost.
He's like the golden boy.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, so
do we ever see Riley again after this? I don't know.
I don't remember. We can check, but maybe we'll just discover it along the way.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, so they come off stage in between
acts or something. Yeah, and
Kodos,
and Kardashian guy is like talking to his daughter, and she's like, "You are great." He goes, "Oh, what's wrong?" And she's like, "I heard a voice from the past.
Yeah, because
haunting me."
Yeah, because he had heard Riley talk about he murdered my family and all that stuff. He could hear it while he's in.
While he's giving a monologue with this.
So he's remembering that.
Yeah. It was the voice of the past are haunting me. It was a part I played years ago, a part I never told you about.
Yeah, guess what? He murdered 4,000 people.
Yeah.
That part.
And this is where we learn she is the murderer. She goes, "Now, Father, after tonight, all the ghosts will be dead."
Oh my God.
Oh man, this is so Shakespearean,
and she is so fucking nuts, and her eyes just glaze.
He's like, "What? What are you saying, child?"
Yeah, and she like basically admits that, those people, you killed all those people. And she goes, "I had to."
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, 7 of them." He's like he's pissed. He's "Oh, child, I tried to protect you against all of that. And now you've ruined it. You've left me nothing. Nothing. You left me nothing. Your blood is stained." Sorry. Sorry.
More blood on my hands.
More blood on my hands.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Kirk just he's heard enough. He comes out. He's "Hey, guess what? You're busted."
Yeah.
And he says, "Both of you guys, come with me. I'm going to take you."
"No, after the performance."
Oh, the performance is over.
It's been over for 20 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can't. This is the great
Kardashian,
or whatever the fuck his name is.
It
It must go on. And he's like, "No, we gotta go." And then red shirt comes up, and she's like, "Oh no, you're not gonna do it." And she grabs his phaser and runs out on stage.
Yeah.
Just like a Shakespearean performance.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so great.
And she runs out and turns, and she's like, "Oh, you cannot." What is she
Yeah, and the
say?
audience is standing up like, what the? What, is this part of the performance?
I know.
What? You know, the audience is back there like they're not booking. They don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, what'd you
they see
say?
their captain on stage.
What'd you say? You said, "I didn't know Captain Kirk was an actor."
Yeah. No,
Is this part of the show?
that'd be awesome if that
Yeah,
happened.
so basically he tries to de-escalate it, Kirk does, and she goes, "I know how to use this."
Yeah, she's very, very adamant.
Yeah, and he's like, "Child, don't do it," and he like jumps in front of Kirk, and she like pulls the trigger and kills her father.
Yeah. If it was on stun, then
Maybe he had a heart attack.
he probably had a heart attack from the stun because he didn't disintegrate,
Yeah.
which would have been cooler,
It would, but she wouldn't have had that moment at the end where she's basically doing
Down on his body.
all this Shakespeare.
All those Shakespeare monologuing.
All right down on the ground.
Yeah. He's like,
Which some of the most overacted moments I've ever seen on television.
And he says that you'll never get off the ship. And she goes, then it will become a tomb floating through space where the great ghost of Kardashian will perform.
What did she say? Like, Caesar and the Ides of March.
Yeah.
That's right before.
Yeah, right before she phases
pulled the
him.
trigger. Yeah.
And then that. And then
Caesar comes many times, right, Captain Kirk?
more innuendo.
That was crazy.
Oh,
Forgot
my
about
God,
that.
that was crazy, man.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, she totally turned psycho big time, revealing her true colors, man. And then when she's down there, she says the title of the episode. It's the play is the thing, wherein we'll catch the conscience of the king.
Yeah.
And a real wide-eyed psycho look.
And so Kirk leans down and pulls her off of him, and she starts cackling like an insane person.
Oh yeah, like it turns into a laughter of crazy, man.
So we dissolve into, I think, maybe a shot of the Enterprise leaving. Yeah. And McCoy comes in to the bridge, and he's got the report.
Yeah, and he says, she doesn't remember anything, Jim. She'll be taken care of. She still thinks her father is traveling across the galaxy giving performance to adoring crowds.
Yeah, he's like, you really cared about this girl, didn't you? And he says, well, he's like, yells out.
He goes, all right, Mr. Leslie, take us out. What Factor 2? First time Eddie Paskey gets a name for his character in the background. Eddie Paskey, the background actor. And he says, "Aye, Captain," or something like that. Yeah,
and then he says, but no answer? And he's like going, what Factor 1?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'll take that as an answer.
Oh, that's an answer. Yeah, because that's the way men communicate in the 60s.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that's the end of the episode.
They hide their feelings. That's
yes, exactly. And we don't talk about shit like that in the future.
So what do we think about this episode?
It was truly one of the most boring episodes of the show.
It wasn't great. I mean, there were moments that I thought were pretty fun, but for the most part, I can see why people kind of rejected it.
Yeah, I do like that actress who played Lenore. She had such an eccentric performance. Mm-hmm. What an eccentric performance. Mm-hmm. So, like, the only time she acted normal was when she's on the bridge asking for help. She acted like a normal person.
Yeah.
All other times she was this, like, flighty actress, she was supposedly an actress, playing an actress. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. She was interesting to look at and everything.
Yeah, she was.
Knowing that thing about the lip is really distracting when you watch it.
That's right. Okay, so, the next time we get together, it's going to be Balance of Terror. One of my favorites, actually. And supposedly...
Is that Mark Leonard in it?
I think so. And who plays Spock's dad in the later episodes. He plays a Klingon,
Romulan.
Romulan.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of people think that it was based on Run Silent, Run Deep.
Ah, okay. I did not know
which
that.
is a World War II film about submarines.
Nice. It is a very submarine-esque episode.
Yeah. So until next time,
All right. The bar is closed. Thank you very much.